Good morning, friends. Let's sing together, huh? Just get your heartbeat going here. Take a big breath in. Let it out. And in and out. There we go. All right. We've sung this before. We're going to do it again. This is Melanie DeMoore's Lead with Love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. Well, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Look up ahead. The path is there. The path is there. 'Cause you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Well, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. And I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. So you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Yes, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead. Big finish. Here we go. And lead with love. Great.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia UU congregation. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. Thank you for joining us today. You are welcome here just as you are, whatever beliefs sustain you, whomever you love, however you understand and express your identity, and in all the ways you are still becoming the person you will be. My name is Whitney Godby. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. I'm a white woman in my late 30s, and today I'm wearing a black shirt and a gray sweater. Leading worship with me today is our minister, Reverend Mary Gear, Reverend Monica Jacobson-Tennessen, OUUC's sabbatical minister, Troy Fisher, our music director, and Reverend Sarah Lewis, the director of community and faith development. Here are a few things you should know about our service today. We're streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. For those here in the sanctuary, you can see the sometimes creative subtitles on the screen in front, and on Zoom if you're online. Over here we have fluffy chairs and activities for your hands, so everyone can be comfortable. We are a multi-generational community, and we value our young ones. Kids, babies, and teens are welcome right here in the sanctuary. There's also nursery care and a storytime program for children in the classroom wing. We are grateful for the many hands that helped make worship happen this morning. Thank you for all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have a chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Monica. For those online, we invite you to go into a breakout room for a virtual coffee chat. For those in person, please feel free to stay for coffee and fellowship in the Commons. The OUUC's choir spring concert, Where the Light Begins, will be tonight at 7 p.m. Come and join us for a wonderful evening of choral music. There are many things happening at OUUC. Check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most up-to-date information. And now, let us open our hearts and minds as we prepare for worship. It is good to be together. This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition. If you are online and have a chalice or candle, please join me as we light our chalices together with the words of Reverend Lois Van Leer. We light this chalice not because we must, but because we may. We light this chalice not because we have the truth, but because we each come bearing and seeking many truths. We light this chalice in connection across culture, distance, class, and language. We light this chalice that our religion may be a beacon of light, hope, and justice. We light this chalice to kindle our hearts and our minds.
Thank you, Whitney. Good morning from me too. I'm Reverend Monica Jacobson-Tennessen. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman with graying hair in my 40s wearing a blue dress and a green stole with ivy on it. And I want to tell you, ivy is a symbol of fidelity, so it feels appropriate to evoke that on this Sunday morning. Our opening words today come from the Reverend Sherry Woodbury. Welcome, all who seek renewal in a weary world. Welcome, all who come with love and energy to share. Welcome to those who worry for the future. Welcome, each one who is grateful for today. Know that in this place, in this time, you are not alone. In community, we share our strength with one another and keep the flame of our love burning bright. Know that in this place, responsibility is shared. Here, tradition holds us. Ancestors shine a light from the past. Here, the young ones lift their bright faces and beckon us onward. Take my hand, and we can go together. Come, let us worship together.
And let's sing together again, hymn number 1010, Oh, We Give Thanks. I invite you to rise in body and or spirit. If you're joining us online, you can find the lyrics posted in the chat.
Precious day. And one good morning, more good morning from me. Good morning. I'm Reverend Mary, and I use she, her pronouns. In a free religious community, to serve is the highest expression of commitment and love. To be asked to lead is a highest honor. And there is a cycle to leadership, just as there is a cycle to life. This morning, we mark the change in leadership for the OUUC Board of Trustees and the Leadership Development Committee, or the LDC, as they are known. At the June 9th congregational meeting just last week, you upheld our democratic principles and elected 2 new board members, re-elected a board member, and elected 3 new members of the Leadership Development Committee.
I invite the outgoing board members, Joe Joy and Eric Ness, and the new board members, Sally L. Haddoff and Dieter Jacobs, to join me up here. And would the current board members please stand? They're not excited about that. Sorry. We recognize any board members who are online, and it may be Rich and Dieter. Thank you, and please be seated. We begin this morning by thanking the outgoing members of the Board of Trustees, Joe Joy and Eric Ness. You have each served faithfully and well, bringing your many gifts and talents to the work of this congregation. Please join me in thanking Joe and Eric for their service. Do you have things for them? Okay, go ahead.
Can I go now?
No.
No, you can't go now until we give you a little something, Joe. I asked Susan, yeah. I thought this deserved more than a coffee cup and a bag of mints. So we wanted to thank you. I asked Susan what you would like the most, Joe, and she said, Oliphant Art Supply. So here's a gift certificate for art supplies for you. Thank you from the board. And Eric, I know you are looking with great anticipation towards getting back to work with the Buildings and Grounds team. And I thought you might need a few supplies. So I went to Harbor Freight for you. And you got some gloves and a vest and some more safety glasses.
Two new members of the board will join them. I'm sure they're afraid now. Sally L. Haddoff and Dieter Jacobs. Sally and Dieter, will you join Rich, Arlene, Tammy, Lee, Susan, Carmel, and Jeff to be diligent and faithful in your work, bringing your best selves and practicing self-care and open-heartedness, tending with love the details of the work, and always keeping the beloved community in front of you as you serve? If so, respond, we will.
We will.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Let me read the inside. I thought there was a point where we were all supposed to say we will. So we will. Okay. Thank you. And I'd like, if you guys, I think you guys can go sit down, and Arlene can come up again. You can. Okay, Arlene.
Yeah.
First of all, Arlene has done true yeoman's work and been president for 2 years, which I thought deserved 2 flower bouquets. And also, Lee made this beautiful framed certificate for her because it truly is a labor of love for somebody to serve even 1 year, but 2 years is a lot. Thank you, Arlene. Oh. And thank you for agreeing to stay and serve again. We really appreciate it. And I will hold all that so you can do your part.
My goodness.
Ooh, sorry.
All right. And now we recognize the work of the Leadership Development Committee. Would the outgoing and incoming LDC members please join me here? Outgoing members are Gary Worthington, Jason Martinelli, and Alice Curtis. And incoming members are Josie Solsing, Nancy Curtis, and Des McGarren. We recognize Gary, who is with us online this morning. Oh, a whole bunch of them are online. All right, well. And would the current LDC members please stand? Alice, Gary, and Jason, we thank you as you leave the LDC. You have served with grace, energy, and determination, and you have provided leadership to the LDC. Please join me in thanking Alice, Gary, and Jason. There are two members who continue their work on the LDC, Gail Reedy and Ann Colbury. Thank you. And there are three new members who will join them: Josie Solsang, Nancy Curtis, and Des McGarren. Will you join Gail and Ann to be diligent and faithful in your work, bringing your best selves and practicing self-care and open-heartedness, tending with love the details of the work, and always keeping the goal of beloved community in front of you as you serve? If so, please respond, "We will." We will. Thank you. Gail and Ann, will you please come on up? And the outgoing members want to thank Gail. Yeah, okay, you want to thank them for coming up. Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Well, we had a little presentation planned, but of course you three fooled us. So we'll have to do it when we get together, yeah. But I want to say, first of all, Alice, your leadership was the most gentle, kind, directed, and facilitated, inclusive leadership I've seen, and it was really lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah, you were really lovely. Gary's institutional knowledge and his understanding of how OUUC works and how we've grown and changed over the years, and his abilities with PowerPoint were just stellar. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And I'm not sure how we're going to survive next year without Jason, because he's the Google guru and also knows Excel in and out. And so we'll stumble and we'll call on you. See ya. Thank you all.
You can be seated. Yeah. OUUC members and friends, leadership service done faithfully in love is the work of justice and community building. This is what you have asked of these people before you this morning, that they serve the congregation faithfully and well. To do this, they will need your trust and support. I ask you, will you offer love and trust to your board and LDC members, responding when they seek your input, showing up when they ask you that work needs to be shared, and listening carefully when they speak of the life of the church? If so, will you please say, "We will"? We will. And leaders, I hope you heard that resounding vote of confidence. May the spirit of love guide you in the coming year. May the spirit of joy infuse your work as you engage in it. and may your service bless this community and bless the world. Thank you.
I'm Tiffany Felch, and I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. I serve on our sabbatical committee, and I'm here with Polly Taylor and Dan Donahue here with me today, as well as Curtis Tanner and Kirsten Hill, who are out of town today but with us in spirit. We are here today representing OUUC, the entire congregation, to offer a brief but heartfelt farewell to our minister, Reverend Mary. As of today, she will be out of sight, often out of town, but certainly not out of our hearts. To symbolize our enduring connection with her while she's away, we'll use this pair of matching candles. Each Sunday, we will light this one.
It won't light until she walks out.
Thank you. Each Sunday, we'll light this one in her honor during our worship service. And we'll send this one with Reverend Mary while she's away. We also have the cards from the congregation, as well as some gifts that symbolize self-care and renewal. Reverend Mary, please accept these cards, gifts, and candle from all of us. We hope that your candle will keep us in your heart and will light your way home to us come November. And now, will all of you please join me in reciting the words on the screen together? We know that the candle we light here each week will help to sustain our bond with you, as well as keep us mindful that these months will be ours to use in the name of renewal as well. Thank you.
Reverend Mary, we offer this blessing. May you find joy and happiness in the wondrous possibilities before you. May you be nourished and sustained by the love and gratitude of all of us who stay behind. May you find peace, deep, deep rest, and kindness every day until we welcome you back home, renewed in mind, body, and spirit. We hold you in love as you go.
This is the sound of one voice, one spirit, one voice, the sound of one who makes a choice, This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of voices too. The sound of me singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three.
We've sent Reverend Mary off for her time of sabbatical, and the life and work of this congregation goes on, entrusted to us to continue. Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practices of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. We each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, together we're able to do more than any of us can do alone. We also express our gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and institutional well-being. The offering collected here does two things. It helps support the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by your regular pledges. This offering also supports an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values. Our Share the Plate organization for May and June is the Crisis Clinic of Thurston and Mason counties. Providing 24/7 continuous support for the last 50 years, the Crisis Clinic of Thurston and Mason counties is committed to building a community that's better prepared to understand and respond compassionately to people in crisis. In 2022, the clinic answered over 10,000 phone calls from people in crisis. Their educational programming reaches about 2,000 local students each year, and they hope to exceed that number in 2024. Your help will support the primary crisis intervention services, the teen and youth helpline, and presentations to middle and high schools throughout Thurston and Mason counties in suicide awareness and prevention. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Thank you for your generous gifts. We came together this morning bringing, as always, all that is in our lives. Let us open our hearts to the complexity of life as we share in our practice of placing stones in the water of community. You will hear a drum beat as we share today. It brings into our awareness that our individual hearts beat, and together we create the heartbeat of community. Right now, I invite you to take a breath as we open our hearts to receive the complexity of all that is in our lives and our communities today. We begin by noting that today is the Sunday named as Father's Day here in the United States. We pause to remember that this day can be a complicated one, depending on the relationship each of us has to the fathers and the concept of fatherhood in our lives. We hold each other in care if today is painful for you. We celebrate together if today is joyful for you. For those who are joining us online, I invite you to share from your heart by entering into the chat. Those in the sanctuary will be able to see your sharing on the screen. And for those in person today, I invite you to come forward if there is something that you would like to bring into the embrace of this community. You may place a stone in the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Please come up through the side aisle and return to your seat by the center aisle. Let us hear the heartbeat of our community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. You're welcome to come. We also place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. And we place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts that we know comes with us today. Let us take a moment to harmonize our bodies and breath. Please be in whatever way is comfortable for you to hum. When we sing together, we know that we breathe together. In a moment, I'm going to start humming, and I invite you to join me. Don't overthink it. Just pick a note and hum. Change your note or stay on the same one. You can harmonize, and I invite you to place a hand on your heart or on your belly, somewhere where you can feel the vibrations in your body. We'll hum for a bit, and when our humming comes to an end, we will be in silence together. Let's hum and enjoy the vibrations that we create together. Let us hold a moment of silence together.
Let's remain seated and sing together hymn number 83, Winds Be Still.
With
Today's reading is from So Many Little Deaths by Reverend Carl Scoville, a piece about taking his son to the airport for his first solo trip. We walked back to the car parked on the top level of the garage, and I imagine we looked as if there'd been a death. In a sense, there had been, for every parting is a death, and so is every goodbye. We were giving up the someone we had heard bellowing in the shower at 5 a.m, who ate the brownies his sister had baked for their friends, who left his bicycle in the front hall, who made quiet, funny jokes and wonderfully crazy drawings, and who left emptiness and silence where he used to be. So yes, you must die to the one you were to him, so that he and you can each go on and become the ones God created you to be, not the one you've grown comfortable with. This dying to each other is as much a part of life as breathing and sleeping, but knowing that doesn't make it any easier. So many little deaths we die before we die the big one. We die these deaths so we may live, so we may move with that inexorable force called life. The favorite mug smashed on the stone floor, the lost book, the job gone, the song sung, the face now seen only in that unrealistic photo. All these are part of the dying to live. In the 1940s, Dietrich Bonhoeffer sat in his prison cell in Berlin and wrote a letter to his parents. It was the first Christmas he had spent away from home, and he wrote, "Nothing can fill the gap when we're away from those we love, and it would be wrong to try and find anything. We must simply hold out and win through." That sounds very hard at first, but at the same time, it's a great consolation, since leaving the gap unfilled preserves the bonds between us. It's nonsense to say that God fills the gap. He does not fill it, but keeps it empty, so that our communion with each other may be kept alive, even at the cost of pain. That's another way of making my point. Perhaps it's simply dying to the one thing or one person whom we love, so that although we may not know it at the time, another thing, another person, another love may happen, not take its place.
Whitney has just shared with you one of my favorite readings on change. This one in which Reverend Carl Scoville lifts up the truth that every change is a kind of little death. It is a moment in which we cease to be who we were and move toward who we are becoming. And at no time does the becoming take the place of what came before. We are in the midst of a season of becoming in so many ways right now, global and national and denominational, and now you as a congregation. You have sent your minister off on sabbatical. You have said goodbye just now to the Reverend Mary Gear that you knew and joined in the shared ministry of this congregation. And when her sabbatical ends, you will welcome back a changed Reverend Mary to rejoin a changed congregation. Something new will happen. It will not be the same as it was before. When I married my partner almost 15 years ago now, it was in a summer in which many of our peers were marrying, so we went to a lot of weddings. And at one of them, the rabbi turned to the couple and said, "Now we'll break a glass. Does anyone know why we do that?" And some of the people in attendance mumbled, "Tradition?" The rabbi said, "We break a glass because once it is broken, it can never be unbroken. You," she said to the couple, "will always, from this moment on, be two people who have been married to each other. Your marriage will someday end, maybe with the death of one of you, maybe with a divorce that turns you into ex-husband and ex-wife, but you will never again go back to being people who have not been married to each other. The glass will remain broken." So even when it is for beautiful and joyous reasons, it is still a little loss in something that ends each time something begins. It is part of our work as religious people to be able to hold that truth. You know, plenty has been said about the origins of the word religious. No one is actually definitively sure what the true origin is. So some say it comes from a Latin root meaning to rebind or regather, and some say it comes from a Latin root meaning to read again. Either way, that re or again part is meaningful. Something about the religious life requires us to regather, to reconnect, to know that we don't go it alone, and that we not kid ourselves with the idea that somehow the past doesn't matter. We are asked to remember that we are connected. We are members of a great community of life, and we are the current iteration in a long string of the variations of ourselves that we are becoming, individually and collectively. Something about the religious life gently prods us to acknowledge that we need to be reminded of these things over and over and over. I once knew a Catholic priest who had a very unconventional take on the sacraments, or the rituals of Catholicism, things like confession and communion. He said, "I don't think the sacraments are very important to God. We talk a lot as though we have to do those things in order for God to love us. That is silly," he said. God loves us all the time and never forgets about it. We forget that we are loved. We do the rituals to help us remember. He was a really unconventional Catholic priest, but as a Unitarian Universalist, I love it. A season of change is a good time to talk about this. We know that humans tend to forget the most important things. We know that humans look for reminders and reassurance, and so we can include these practices into our religious life on purpose. For the time Reverend Mary is away on sabbatical, we will light a candle here in worship every week. The Sabcom assures me this is a 40-hour candle, so it will last. This is a ritual that reminds us all of the enduring connection, one which looks different during this time, but continues nonetheless. Grounding in this ritual and knowing that Reverend Mary has taken a candle of her own is an important reminder. And we are invited too in this time to the practice of curiosity, the practice of noticing what happens when any one of us looks for those reminders that we are each and all connected and cared for. A time of ministerial sabbatical is a time in which the reminders that we are connected and cared for change shape. The care of the congregation comes to us through different people. A new ritual begins, and guest speakers bring variations to our worship services. Now, humans are generally not known for being comfortable with change, so it's okay if the first response rising up in you is, "No, thank you." Some of us like it more than others, for sure, but I think many people crave constancy and don't particularly feel like being curious about changes, especially if we liked things just fine the way they were. So in that spirit, I want to offer you my other favorite reading about change. This comes from an advice column in the Santa Rosa, California Press Democrat newspaper, published February 15th, 1951. You ready? "Dear Sir, I see where the Big Dipper is breaking up and will be an entirely different shape in about 50,000 years. Is there nothing we can depend on?" Signed, Disgusted. And the response, "No, there isn't. disgusted, if you come right down to it, you must try to realize that nothing stays put forever and act accordingly. It is true that the 5 central stars of the Big Dipper are rushing toward the sun at 8 or 10 miles a second, and that eventually the Big Dipper will look like something else. This will be tough on people whose only interest in life is something the shape of a dipper. But there is a brighter side to the picture. The real name of the Big Dipper is Ursa Major, the greater bear. And my hope is that in 50,000 years, it will look a lot more like what it's supposed to be. Whatever happens, it couldn't look less like a bear than it does at present. Long, long ago, when Ursa Major was named, bears probably looked more like dippers than they do today. You can't depend on bears either. So often we resist these changes, these little deaths, these endings. It is very human to want some things to stay the same forever. And it is true, absolutely, that the care that we show for each other, the joy that we celebrate, the beauty of our lives, none of these things that have happened will ever unhappen. The glass remains broken. And as we come together and find some of us different, we may grieve what has ended. The work of being human is to hold it all. The yearning for what was, the uncertainty of hope, the possibility of the next thing. In the essay from which we took our reading, Reverend Carl Scoville wrote, "Perhaps it is simply dying to the one thing or one person whom we love, so that, although we may not know it at the time, another thing, another person, another love may happen, not take its place." His essay goes on to end this way. 3 months after our son left, we returned to the airport to welcome him back. We knew that a young man would step off a plane at Logan Airport, and he would look very much like the one we said goodbye to. But he wouldn't be. He would be different, and we would be different too. That difference is good, and it would happen because we were willing to say goodbye, to die a bit so we could grow a bit and meet each other as the people we became. The church has known this for a long time and reminds us in the liturgies and the scriptures and the rituals, but every now and then we must rediscover it for ourselves. I guess Logan Airport is as good a place as that, for that as any. Now, I know that life in our world today offers an exhausting number of places and opportunities to rediscover the facts of change for ourselves. It is inescapable, even if you don't have to go to the airport. So here is the invitation. Rediscover it on purpose. Make a practice of taking time to remember what was, the way you were, the experience you shared with someone, the ritual you cherished, and know that those things can never unhappen. And that it is okay to feel sad or to miss what has ended. You know that cheerful little graphic that goes around that says, "Don't be sad because it ended, smile because it happened"? Yeah, it doesn't have to be an either or proposition. We are both and people in this community. We are able to hold all the feelings. You can be sad because something ended and smile because it happened. And in remembering what was, with whatever mixture of grief and gratitude comes to you, make space for what is becoming. Bring some curiosity to what may unfold in the coming months, what you may discover, and what can help you hold on to the truths that you are connected and you are beloved. With this invitation, let us share a few moments in silence.
Let's rise and join together in singing hymn number 9, No Longer Forward Nor Behind.
You may be seated. If you are online and you have lit a chalice or a candle, please join me as we extinguish our chalice here with the words of Sarah York. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown. Go in peace, go in joy, go in love.